Bring happy Halloween, happy belated Halloween. Welcome to Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report.
What in the world are you wearing?
Captain Jason and Captain Travis, and we're going to bring you a live fishing report and a good show, we hope.
We're going to bring a great show. We're a little late for the dance, but, you know, hey, you know what? Microsoft don't sponsor us, and so we can say that they need to quit doing so many updates on computers.
No doubt. We've had some. Gosh, it's like every time we have a hurdle with something technical, but we got it going, and we're here. Let's do it.
Life is an update away.
We got a good show. We got tonight's show. The topic is going to be anchors and anchoring. We talked about it a little bit last week. We're going to really get into it this week. We got some good products we're going to show you in the second segment for product review, and got the third segment. We're gonna have our forecast and have a come on man segment. Travis has got a good one, but before we get going in the show, there's a couple things that we kind of got to get out of the way here, and one of them is Travis's seminar tomorrow. The location has been changed, and I'm going to read the text right off my phone that I got from Tiger. And, Tiger Woods. But Tiger Hoffman says, had to move the South Shore Anglers meeting to Apollo Beach Rec Center, and the address is 664 Gulf and Sea Boulevard, Apollo Beach, 33572. Starts at 7. And going to go till 9. So don't show up at Little Harbor tomorrow because they I guess have something going on there, and the meeting's not going to be there. It's going to be at the Rec Center in Apollo Beach. So you got that. Another thing that we're going to touch on here, and we'll remind you later in the show. But next week we're going to have Todd Fouché come in as a guest, and Todd's gonna tell us about his newest adventure, which is not a new adventure for Todd, but he's doing those roundabout boats now, and I'm sure he's got some information that will be useful to some on that.
Well, Todd's also an excellent fisherman.
Great fisherman.
We're going to be talking fishing, going to pick his brain a little bit. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be good.
But I'm sure he's going to want to promote his product and everything. But that'll be good. And then, Jason, why don't you tell us just briefly what we got going on with the photo contest?
So, guys, what we're trying to do is obviously, as we told you guys, we're trying to have more interaction with our show, with our listeners. And we came up with an idea. So we're going to end up doing a photo contest. And the photo contest is we're going to pick one of our best fishing photos.
Right. Not necessarily the biggest fish.
The coolest. The coolest photo.
The best photo.
Yeah, the best one. Could be, somebody that has a tiny snook.
Right.
Or a tiny redfish, but, kind of really makes it look good or whatever.
Right.
So it's going to be the coolest picture. And what we're going to give away a 10-foot humpback cast net.
Right.
To the winner. Now, to register to this, you're going to have to be a subscriber on our YouTube page and also like our radio page on Facebook. So we're trying to build more interaction, obviously build our listener base, especially on our YouTube page. So that's what we're going to be doing.
And so, but next week we'll have all the particulars and the dates. This is not going to be like a one weekend thing. We're gonna pick a start date and gonna go through Christmas or the end of the year with it, and see how it works. If it works good and we get a lot of interest in it, we'll do it again. So, Jason, we'll just see what happens. I think it's a good idea, and Jason's running on 30% today. He said, and he come up with that idea on 30%. So I'm like, man, what could you do if we could get you at 100? It would be epic. It would be absolutely
game over.
Epic. But anyway, before we get into anchoring, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this week's trivia question out, and it has to do with anchoring. But this week's trivia question, and if you get it right, you're going to win this Cajun Thunder. This is the Prieto special. when that Cajun Thunder
Back Bay.
Back Bay right there. But and you don't call or nothing. It's got to be your answer needs to come in on a Facebook comment here. But what is the proper amount of scope for anchoring? And if you don't know what scope is, it's the proper, or the scope is if you're in 50 foot of water, 2 to 1 would be 100 foot of line. 3 to 1 would be 150 foot of line. 4 to 1, 200, so on, so on. So what is the proper amount of scope when anchoring? So, the answer is going to be something to 1. So anyway, what's going on, Travis? You going to join us?
Yeah,
Come on, baby.
I'm coming in, man. I was making sure everything was good, boys. But I think
he wants his grand introduction.
I think. Yes,
yeah,
Dude,
Travis
you
is
were
in the
supposed
house.
to come out with something
Travis
better
is
than
in
that.
the house. Hey,
Man,
I told you guys I would wear it.
I can't compete with that.
This
man.
is, I tell you, my daughter was a missionary in West Africa for over 2 years, and when we went to visit, this is what one of her friends had made for me. So I love my outfit. I know it's a little loud, a little wild, but
a little wild and crazy.
It's wild and crazy. But you know what? Got a lot of memories.
Well, I thought the deal was that I had to wear my Vietnamese.
You were supposed to
wedding outfit.
Yeah, you were supposed to.
So maybe I'll have to.
Yeah, if you would have wore that tonight,
epic.
It's done. Like they
Game
would have shut down YouTube.
Anyway,
they would've shut it down.
Yours actually beats his. I have to say. I
Well,
cannot
I have
believe.
a hat. You don't have a hat with yours? They don't wear hats in Africa?
No, I didn't get the hat.
Vietnam, they wear hats.
But
so what are we
we
talking
wear
about?
hats in
we need
America too.
Well, before we get into anchoring, let's give a little fish report. I know you guys was on the water this week. Y'all were on the water a little more than I was.
Oof.
But yeah, I haven't fished since Sunday. So
Good for you.
I was on
Yeah,
the water, but I wouldn't say that we were fishing a whole bunch, or
yeah.
at least catching a whole
Well-
bunch. It was the weather has been a little tough to work around, especially through the weekend.
little?
You know, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but you know, Sunday and Monday were really bad. Sunday was really bad. I don't think if somebody fished on Sunday, they were in a pretty
Sunday
safe
was real
place.
bad.
But
Did
Sunday,
you fish Sunday?
He tried. Or no, you did fish Sunday, and then Monday.
Monday was
me out.
yeah.
Monday. My bad. Well,
Sorry, should I not raise my hand?
No, I forgot about that you did. Yeah. How'd that go for you though?
Well, we got a 27-inch snook, but we only caught like 6. You know, we the only reason I was able to fish is I had Tom Sandbolt. I take his brother fishing. I take the whole family fishing. They come down just to fish. That was it. Like, that's it. Brings his boys. I had bait in the pens. The bait was very weak. They knew what we were up against. We actually got off the boat. We caught like 7 snook. We had one that was actually decent. And he goes, "Man, I didn't think we'd catch anything today."
Yeah. Hey, it was as much winds as we had Sunday. 7 snook's not a bad day.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. And then we tried to go the next day. The winds were supposed to come down, and we rolled out.
That's when I
Oh,
met
God.
you at Little Harbor,
Dude,
and I hit
Well, see,
the
I'm glad I talked to y'all because I canceled Sunday or Monday. I rescheduled it, and I'm sitting at the house and I'm looking and I'm thinking, man, this is not that
It was
bad.
definitely
That's
one
what
of
I
those-
thought.
it's
I said,
definitely one of
I'm
those
looking at the
weird-
trees and the trees are barely moving. And I said, I can't. I made the wrong call here. I shouldn't have.
Oh, you did.
I shouldn't have canceled. And then I talked to y'all later, and you said, look, it was horrific out there, and that just goes to show you if you live inland and you see the trees doing like this, that means that the water they're
That's
doing
right.
like that. So
That's right.
Well,
Especially with a north wind.
Yeah.
I think a south wind. I think I can read a little bit better from my house, but when I get a north wind, for whatever
and
reason,
it's all about direction.
and it does just
for
just
sure.
for the way that my house is positioned in general. But we went out that morning. I got up early and went out, and I had planned on running to the Skyway. Just because of that
so did
reason.
I.
said, look, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get early and make the run. And I didn't get to Cockroach Bay.
You
turn
turn
before
around.
Well,
lights out. Now, I mean, I did get some bait. I ended up getting a basket full of thread fins. We were going to do some cut bait. And there was a little bit of white bait on some of the markers, but in the conditions that you were trying to get it in and where it was at and the way the tide was running at that time, it just made nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And I think Jason attest to that because
listen,
literally,
well,
I went out and as I was coming back in, I looked for some bait inshore, and I saw Jason run out the mouth of the river, and I'm thinking to myself,
Sucker.
yeah, I hope
I had customers with me.
because it was
Yeah,
it was easy three. I'm being conservative to say it was 3 footers, but
No,
there
listen,
there were some 4.5s mixed in there.
Dude, there was a
easy.
5
It
where
was-
the wave, like, he was on the phone with him. He called me, and I was kind of sideways with the waves, and I'm
Yeah.
just kind of rolling, had the customers with me. And I'm like, man, this is bad. And all of a sudden he goes, he heard me say something I probably can't say on the air. and he goes, what? And I had a wave was coming at us breaking. Like,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
I had to swing the boat to nose into it because, I mean, there was a like 20% chance in my head that it could
Roll you.
roll.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen, but
It could have.
yeah, I
You
mean,
never
it was
know out
breaking.
there,
And, you know,
especially when the ships are going by. You don't know what kind of stuff.
I look at it like this too.
Comes
You
off of
guys
those
got
guys.
bigger boats than I got, so if it was a challenge for y'all and undoable, I would
It
have
was
had no
tough.
business
It
being
was
out
tough,
there at all.
But other than that, I mean, it's sort of typical for this time of year.
Right.
Rick, I think we can
Yeah.
all agree. And
Yes.
I think what ends up happening is we all gripe and kind of moan about it, and then you adapt and we figure out
You
a way to
adapt.
get through it. And the biggest part of it is that what always happens, and at least my experience is when that first cold front hits, which is what we just kind of went through, everything either does what it's supposed to do or doesn't do what
Right.
it's supposed to do. And in this case, I think it was like a tweener. Like, I think stuff is starting to move to the wintertime
Right.
spots, and even some of the areas that I fished, I know there was fish there because I'd caught fish in the past, like last week, and we had that cold front, and I thought, well, that area ought to be really good because generally that's where the fish go when it gets cold. And we woke up to 60-degree water temperature, surface water temperature.
yeah.
So I tried an area, and it was like cutting teeth, man. I mean, the fish were there, they just didn't want to eat. So I think what's going to happen is another week of this. Especially we get a little warming pattern come in, and I think we're going to actually see the fishing get fired up. I mean, fishing's going to go off, especially I think through November. If we can keep the winds down and let us get out there, water's going to clear up, water temperature's going to come down, fish are going to get a little active. So I think November is going to bring a good fishery or a good month to fish. We just got to get the bait nailed down and where the fish want to settle into, and once they settle
hopefully
in,
that bait is going to get on some markers.
yeah, we're hoping that we can get it on the markers and make it a little easier.
That makes
on
it
us.
easier for us.
That's starting to happen. There is some bait starting to show up. There's still some bait on the flats around some residential areas that I have found. The bait is smaller there. This hurricane jacked our bait up, in my opinion, and I don't know if we're, you gotta love Norris. I mean, what do you do? I mean, how do you get a hold of Brett Norris? Just find him on Facebook.
Just find him on Facebook.
Any good guides ever talk on the show? Well, we would bring you in here, but then we need somebody good, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just I'm gonna go on a limb. We got some of the best winter fishery right in our backyard, like the South Shore.
No doubt.
I mean, there's guys trout fishing and we're snook fishing and
What I
redfish
like about the South Shores, we don't deal with houses and stuff a lot. It's just natural nature.
habitat. Yeah,
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we got to real quick. I want to just kind of butt in here so we don't keep getting answers come in on the trivia question. We got a winner, Mark Freese. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Mark. It's 6-1 or 7-1. That's been a debate.
this was
between
a debate the whole entire ride here.
And last week it was a debate between me and Jason.
Oh, you mean me and you arguing?
We weren't arguing. We were just debating. It was he
Is that
says
what we call it
7-1.
now?
I say 6-1, and he found it on the internet that said 7-1. I was taught through my captain school at 6-1. So
I was taught at captain school. So which captain school did you go to?
I went to the online captain school.
That might be the problem.
I'm joking.
Oh,
No, it wasn't online. They don't have an online.
I'm mediating.
They don't have an online.
when we
they have
got
a
our
safety
captain's
course online.
license,
But no,
you
we
actually
were
had to go. Now
yeah.
they do have it online.
No, I went. It was we went at the same time, Jason. We were only like
but
3 months apart.
I know, but you could have went to a different school.
Well, I was in Bradenton. I went to the one in Bradenton. But anyway, it's 6-1 is an acceptable answer.
That's probably more accurate.
We had
because
So what are they winning?
They
They're
don't
winning
even
a
use-
back bay.
So Mark, come into Tampa Fishing Outfitters, and pick that up. We'll write your name on the back of it and put it on the downstairs at the counter, and you can go out and slam some fish with that.
You can cork the heck out of
But
them,
anyway, let's talk about anchoring. I mean, that's what
talk a little bit about anchoring.
This time of year, anchoring is I think more important than other times of year just because of the weather. There's
a ton of things to talk about in terms of way to do it, and then being safe about it, because water temperature's starting to drop, man, and a lot of guys will get out there by themselves and try to anchor up. I mean, I can't remember the exact story, but I think it was last year there was a boat anchored up on Bahia Beach Reef. The guy got his anchor stuck, decided to dive in,
and died,
and ended up not coming back up. So it is a serious thing to talk about, especially if you are the type to anchor. And the flip side of that is, I know we're going to talk about some anchoring and bring up some products to talk anchoring, but another option that a lot of guys are doing now is GPS trolling motors. These guys right here, Rodan, one of the first ones with it, and Jason and I both proud to represent those guys and run that product, and I think he can say the same thing. I mean, I've been running them for, I think, little over 5 years.
That's why I was laughing when Rick said anchoring is real important to me. I'm thinking because you got a knee knocker trolling.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
there's times where you do have to anchor. I mean, I still keep an anchor,
Absolutely.
But
yes,
you called it the knee knocker, though. It's what he calls the old.
I like
the old
it.
Tiller style trolling. The old knee knocker.
That's not a bad name.
That's what they're
it's
called.
funny. I like it.
That's what they're called. They're called knee knockers.
I like it.
It was on the box when he got it.
No, it's not. It's not technically called that, but that's what we
knee
call
knocker
it.
trolling motor.
Hey,
I like it.
Listen,
we're gonna start a new trend here.
But
I'm
anyway,
dealing with young guys that just don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah, I'm still
outfit?
trying to figure out.
Outfit dirty.
Did you get that at Bell's or?
That's
in
original.
Africa?
That was sewn in Africa. It looks like.
Handmade,
I'm pretty sure that
baby.
was.
Here, handmade.
What do we get? He's got to win something for costume of the show. I mean,
Hey,
you get it. You win it, Rick.
but
You're the only one
anyway,
in
anyway, anchoring this time of year.
Anchoring is.
What size anchor you got, Jason?
don't know.
Just your standard. You don't always use your trolling motor.
I use it a lot.
I'm using a 12-pound sea claw.
It's a sea claw, but I can't remember what size. A number.
They make a 12, and I believe it's a 17.
18.
Is it an 18?
Okay, then I got a 12.
So I've got the 12, and I actually, they say with a lot of guys, it's kind of 50-50. Some guys will not run a chain,
Right.
and then some guys will. With a sea claw, depending on where you're anchoring, like on some of the flats and stuff, you don't need to really use chain. But I still run 5 foot of chain on my 12-pound sea claw.
I don't have that much, but it's just because I didn't have that much chain when I put it on there.
And part of it is being, I know I'm by myself a lot,
Right.
and so when I drop that anchor off the front of the boat, I want it to go down. I don't want to have to mess with it and sit there and feather it out or do whatever. So I'll normally drop it, and as it's about halfway down, kind of tighten up on it, let the anchor fall out, and then tie it around a cleat. Which one of these days we're going to get some cleats in here, because I think that's important too, is to kind of know how to tie off your anchors or feed them out as you're hooking getting your bite on your anchor. There's a way you can use the cleat and not actually cleat it off yet, but wrap it around the cleat so that if you do get pulled, you're not pulling on your hands. You're actually using the leverage from the cleat instead of trying to hold your boat in position.
I don't know if y'all ever noticed on the sea claws, and when we get it out here on the next segment, hopefully they'll be able to see.
I got a tip that I'm going
to. You notice that your forks kind of tilt down just a little on the sea claw?
Right.
I think yours are bent.
No, they're not. Promise you they're not.
Mine are straight.
No, they're not. Not if it's a real sea claw.
It's a real sea claw.
They're bowed just a little bit.
You got an imitation.
It's a sea claw.
No, you got the sea flaw.
I actually, and I'm gonna.
Tiger watches too much Beetlejuice.
Listen, how can we run a serious show with Brett Norris commenting? I can't even read his comments because I start laughing.
Well, look, we need to one of you guys take us out. We need to take a break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little break, guys, and we're gonna dive right into this.
And we're coming back
stuff.
with some.
Yeah, because I've got I got a new product, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'm gonna explain what it does with anchoring. I'll leave the rest over for them to go research.
Okay.
Nice. Well, take us to break there, big dog.
Hey, guys, you listen to Tampa Fishing Outfitters Fishing Report.
Live.
Captain Travis, the Wind Dancer, myself, Captain Jason. We're talking fishing, but right now, you're going to listen to our commercials. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Welcome back, guys. You're watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report here from Tampa Fishing Outfitters out here by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football stadium off of Osborne.
Boo.
And we are in our second segment of the show. We're going to do some product reviews, and we picked a couple cool things. I mean, some of it mostly around anchoring. The one I've got is not really on anchoring, but it's something that I've talked about a couple different times on the show, and so I wanted to bring it in, and it kind of fits in with some of this. And this is it's by a company called Rescue Link, and what it is that they're calling it a PLB, which is the Personal Locator Beacon. And I'm going to hold the box up there, and actually the size of this device on the front of the box is the actual size. Yeah, get up in there, Rick.
There's some verbiage on there they might want to read.
So that's the guy, and it's a little handheld unit, and it's sort of in lieu of or in addition to a EPIRB for offshore stuff. I found this summer, and a couple cool things about it. Weighs less than a couple energy bars. It floats. It's buoyant. More likely to reach the satellites in bad weather because it's got over 5 watts of power. It doesn't continually broadcast or continually shoot a message or give an alert until you activate it. So this is a manual, more of a manual device.
Can you take it out?
It's not in here. It's in my boat.
Oh, okay.
But this is the company that makes them. It's company ACR, and they make the EPIRBs as well. But they're about $250. You can get them online, or most of the main marine hardware stores.
That's cheap for
have
safety,
them.
man.
You're darn right it is, and it kind of fits in with what we're talking about in terms of anchoring, and especially getting into the wintertime and some of the bad weather that we get out in.
I guarantee those fellers that fell off their boat in Clearwater a few years back wish they'd had one.
Right,
now.
and you know the thing about this is, and the reason why I wanted to kind of talk about it is, it's stuff like going to pull an anchor, going to set an anchor on a bad day,
right?
And you don't think about falling off, and nobody ever does. But this has got a little belt clip on it, so if you do happen to, go up on the front of the boat or whatever, you pull this out. Maybe you slap it on your belt or on your, side, or stick it in your pocket or whatever. But that time when you do fall in and you're floating out towards the Skyway Bridge, it would be nice to have this in your pocket.
Hey, I had a guy on the boat. No
they'll
kidding.
come right to you.
No kidding. And this is perfect. He was from Minnesota. He worked for, they call it the DNR up there.
Department of Natural Resources.
It's our FWC. He worked for them. He said 95% of the drowning victims they get in the lakes, and I've said this on here before, 95% of the drowning victims they get have their zippers down. They're using the bathroom off the side of the boat, and they leave the boat in gear.
Yep.
They don't shut the boat down, and they fall off. Even though it's idling, they fall off, and they can't. If that right there would get somebody to them before they drown, and they get out there and they can't get to safety.
And the cool thing about that is, like I said, as we were talking on the way over, is you throw it in your box. I carry a dry box with me every day, and I throw it in that box, and so no matter whether I'm fishing on another boat, maybe I go on an offshore fishing trip, or maybe I'm going up to the mountains, or whatever the case may be, going upriver in a canoe. We took it to Louisiana with us, and we were out in some areas that we didn't know. You don't have any cell coverage. You don't have any VHF except line of sight. So this was a device that kind of, without it, of course, we're fine, or most of the time. But having it was a sense of security, knowing, hey, man, if something does happen bad, we can hit a button and somebody's going to come find us. And it's for $250. You can't beat it. So definitely something to check out. Like I said, Rescue Link. And it's a PLB, Personal Locator Beacon. So check that out. It's a very inexpensive investment to possibly save your life. Oh, and if you do get saved, they'll give you a free one.
Tiger's killing me on this. Just to let you know, Tiger, we're watching. We're seeing what you're saying, buddy. He's off the chart right now. Anyway, go ahead, Jason. What do you got there for us?
I don't know, man. I can't get past your outfit. It's really throwing me off tonight. Sorry, Rick. Just had to say that.
No, go ahead.
This is the anchor buoy. So what you do is you throw the anchor, and this floats the end of the rope. That's simple. I mean, you use this a lot when you're tarpon fishing, and this is so basic, so it's kind of weird for me to talk about this. But these work good for, like, when you're tarpon fishing.
Right.
Anything you got to chase something.
Right.
You basically have this tied on the opposite end of your anchor, and you chuck it out. When you come back, your anchor's still hooked up, and you float the end of your rope. You want to make sure this is tied real well because I've actually lost my anchor. Well, I went back to the buoy and I pulled the buoy up, and the anchor and the rope. The story gets better. The anchor and the rope were gone. So, and it was a stainless sea claw. It wasn't the cheap one.
Wasn't an imitation?
No. Next day, Rob Gorda, and I had to say thank you, Rob Gorda. Pulls in the marina and goes, you owe me a 12-pack. I said, for what? He caught the anchor rope out at Egmont, Southwest Pass. Fighting a tarpon. And
wow.
What was the and it was mine 100%. Because the rope was kind of beat up.
Wow.
And,
Yeah, it definitely looked like yours. I couldn't have told any other anchor rope.
So, but then the guy out of Bradenton that actually cut my line because he ran too close with his prop, I owe him one too in a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got ugly. Almost smashed my motor in the piling at the bridge.
Yeah, but I mean the good thing about those, if you're fishing tarpon at the bridge, it saves your spot.
Yeah.
You work hard to get a stall chummed up and going.
Yeah.
And then you break loose to go fight a fish, and you ain't got time to pull an anchor at the bridge for sure.
And one
when
thing
you come back around, your spot's still there.
I want to add something too. So Rick, give me some of this rope or something, whatever this contraption.
Dude, this is.
I laugh every time.
Rick brought his entire rig in case you were wondering.
I'm proud of it.
So if you see the rope right here, before Rick he's going to explain this whole contraption he's got. So
definitely keeps these
this type of
cleaned up
rope,
and oiled.
I can't remember what they call it. This unwound or wound rope versus the more expensive stuff. This gives you stretch. It doesn't. So the other stuff, this stuff will actually give you give. So if you're in real rough water,
right,
you'll get that pull like this, which is always good if you're real rough. You're not getting that snatching, which will pop your anchor loose. So I recommend using this style rope. I can't remember what the braid. I think this is braided, or I can't remember what they call this.
I don't either.
But it's the cheaper rope. Put it that way. One other thing, there's a product out there that I found at West Marine. And it does what this does. It's like a rubber, basically bungee. It's about $60 with 2 stainless clips. So you clip it somewhere between your anchor and your rope, or your chain and your rope, and it actually gives. And I've been using it, and it works real good.
Cool.
What I am going to do?
Trying to see how tall I can get.
That's how it is when you're normal. So go ahead and step up there.
I'm in the dome here, man. Like I'm in the camera there. I feel like a midget.
It's all right, little buddy. But anyway, those are good to have.
And I can't remember what the product is. They sell it at West Marine. I tried it out. It's real cool though because it really adds to that. Where if you're in rough water, your boat's just kind of going like this. Because honestly, if you're in like 4-footers out there getting bait, and you don't have any kind of give, you could snatch yourself off the boat and be in the water. And right now, that could be dangerous.
What's the price point on that?
$29. Tampa Fishing Outfitters has them in stock. This is one of them. I really like this one. The only downside to this one is it doesn't fit in a lot of anchor lockers.
Right.
So what I do is you do a quick connect.
Right.
Put it either on top of your tower, or you can put it in a compartment, and then during tarpon season, maybe you just hang it out of the anchor locker and let it.
Right. So I don't keep my anchor locker, obviously, because of this.
A lot of I have one that's a little bit smaller than this. There's a size that's just a touch smaller than this that I keep in my anchor locker. But what I was gonna say is like some of these bigger ones, we don't normally use it a lot. But a lot of guys that are offshore, this is how they'll pull their anchor.
Yeah.
And so you use the ball, and there's a big clip that goes on here, and you'll actually pull your anchor up with your anchor ball. So there's a lot of different things you can use. This is probably a little bit small for pulling in an offshore anchor. But the other thing that I'll use this for is sometimes if we're pulling up next to each other and say we're going to just kind of shoot the breeze before a charter, or you're going to pull up next to me and get some bait or whatever, I always keep mine with a little short leash on. I just flop it over the side, and it keeps you from banging against another boat coming up next to you.
Yeah.
So you can think outside the box with them, but it's
forever too.
And it's definitely just something that most boats should have on the boat for various reasons. And the other thing that I would say is get you a good permanent marker or get you some spray paint and put your name on it.
Sir.
Put your name and phone number on this because most of the folks out in the bay, I know if I ran across one that had somebody's name on it, I'd give them a call and see if I can find them. Now, if it's just floating out there like that,
free game.
Game on.
Yeah.
So now, Travis.
Nice ball.
Thank you. So, Travis, you were mentioning you had the smaller one. I will tell you this.
Don't tell everybody.
Yeah. I will tell you this, that the bigger float like this or anchor ball, I think is better for the beaches. And I'll tell you why.
You can see it.
You can see it because if you hook a fish out there off Egmont or something, I mean, I've been where that thing's drugged me way in the past.
Yeah.
And you think this is big, but I've had trouble. Like, I've had to follow my GPS track to find it.
Yeah.
And that little one you have, it's okay in the bay, but it can be, and if it's rough, like you're fishing the outgoing tide or something.
And I tell you another,
that makes
you brought
good
another
sense.
point just because we're on anchoring. I do a lot of late evening tarpon trips during tarpon season because the bite, especially the hill tides, and you get out there hung up or on some uncooperative fish and they finally turn on at dark, you know. But another thing that I'll do is in my boat I keep about 5 or 6 little glow sticks. They're the little small glow sticks, and if I chuck an anchor right before
it's a
dark,
good idea, but I'm laughing.
I pop a glow stick and put it on my anchor ball because I've actually not been able to find my anchor ball because of that in the middle of the bay because I can't see it. But if you do chuck a
that's a good idea. I just
stick
laugh
out,
because
and then I start, you know, when I get back.
JJ said that's called triple braid.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
thanks, JJ. Yeah,
JJ,
I give all my spares
you,
to Norris, and he
know what I'm doing. But
he entertains folks at the docks.
Yeah, and then you know God, I wish I was gonna bring my anchor, but of course I had a charter today. We were running late, and I literally pulled into my dock and just got off the boat. But it's a black. It's got 2 it works really good. Now, what I am it holds a ton of weight, but I don't trust it, so I'm actually going to take a chain and loop a chain in case that bungee decided to snap. Because it's in
I wasn't sure what the heck he was talking about.
Because it's inside. It's some kind of rubber bungee, but it's wrapped in like a.
I know what you're talking about.
Like a real thick material.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's all wrinkly.
Yeah, no, it's got like a sleeve over it. It's pretty. I'll have to show it to you. I bought it. It's like $60, but it is nice. I've been out there, and it's really gives you that shock absorber. It's like a shock absorber.
Sure.
Actually, I think it's called shock something. And the guy at Western is like, "Yeah, man, it works real good." And I was like, "What's the weight?" He's like, "Man, you ain't gonna break it. You know, it's pretty heavy duty." So, I don't know, anything that makes anchoring easier for me.
Let's get to the meat of this story.
Ooh,
yeah, so
get off me, man.
That's the weakest link.
This right here.
Jesus.
This is the
and they make stainless.
This
clasp.
is the sea claw. Yeah, no, don't need it.
Yeah, show them the sea claw.
This is the sea claw. This
That's
is the
the
12.
cheap
This
sea
is
claw.
the 12-pounder. What? I didn't get the bronze.
No, the bronze is better. I promise you.
I normally get the.
I have one of
gold-plated,
them, and I have a
Yeah.
stainless.
But if you look, you can see that fork right there, that tine, got just a little slope up on it.
You bent that on a rock.
No, I didn't bend it on a rock. That's the way they come. Trust me. That's the way they come. Pay no attention.
So let's talk a little bit of. Oh, go
Well,
ahead.
hang
Keep
on.
going.
I'm going to go in order. This right here, I learned this when I was fishing up in Canada 10 years ago. I ran into a professional crappie fisherman up there. And we were anchored close to him, and he pulls up, or we were already anchored. He pulls up, and he gets his anchor, throws it out, and he starts spooling off with one of these electrical cords. I said, dude, that's genius, because I get really aggravated when I go, and I've done this in your boat, when we were out catching bait. Your anchor line all tangled up.
I usually feed it in like this, and it's not
Well,
that bad.
They're going to tangle no matter what. So
we're taking his boat.
you take this right here. That's fine. You take this right here. You wind it up. I've never had tangled anchor cord. And when you want to clasp this, if you're tarpon fishing, you let out your anchor line. You grab your line here. Say you got it out. You're where you want to be. I got a big stainless steel clevis that goes through right here, snaps onto this, and you just throw the whole thing over.
The whole reel.
Throw the whole thing over.
The whole reel?
It can't unwind because it's around this hole right here.
I got you.
Works perfect. No tangles. I get no tangles.
No tangles, guys.
No tangles.
No tangles.
They're
Tangle
haters.
free.
They're haters.
No wrinkles. It's like fabric softener.
Everybody laughs at me for this, and they laugh at me for putting wheel chalk down at the boat ramp. But there's one thing you're not going to find. You're never going to find my anchor line tangled, and you're never going to find my boat or my truck.
But you will find him dressed up like.
You will find me dressed up like Kuna Kente, but you'll never find my truck underwater or my anchor line tangled. I promise.
So let me add something. So I'm looking at your chain, and you have this is galvanized chain. They make stainless chain. It all works. I will tell you that it doesn't work because I lost a stainless, the old school stainless sea claws, which I think are better than the newer sea claws. When they originally came out,
the original ones
they were better.
They were
and
better
I had
anchors.
one. You know, I lost it. The white coated chain, which in theory seems great because it don't clank on your
Yeah.
It rusts
It rusts.
inside in there,
Inside.
and you won't see it. Well, mine rusted and broke, and I lost my anchor during tarpon season. And I didn't, but you really can't tell. It looks old, but it doesn't look like it's the link is rusted completely. But what it is, that salt holds inside the white coating. So I recommend really staying away from that.
Absolutely, that you're right. And something else. That's what I was gonna go for. If you're putting your anchor out and you're anchoring, and you're tying, you're attaching your chain to this end of the anchor right here, where that hole's at,
You're doing it wrong.
you're going to lose some anchors.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you attach it on the other end, the end where all the meat is at.
Breakaway.
Then you bring it here. This is just 2 wire ties right here. That wire tie your chain to it. So if you hang your anchor up, you back off of it, you pop those wire ties. Now your chain is getting pulled, or your anchor's getting pulled from this end.
It pulls it out.
That's right. Pulls it right out.
And guys, we've got a lot more people following the show right now, so we do want to mention who we got. We got Todd Fouché, used to be a great charter captain in the Bay, is now the owner of Roundabout Boats. He's going to be our guest next week in the studio. We're going to be talking fishing. Well, he is probably one of the best snapper fishermen. I've learned a lot from him about snapper fishing in the Bay. Great snook fisherman, very knowledgeable on fishing. We're going to be talking fishing with him. We're also going to be talking about Roundabout Boats, which I think really takes a different angle on fishing. There's a lot of options open up, especially for the I don't hunt, but I think they're big with the duck hunters and stuff like that. So we're going to have Todd Fouché in the house next week. I'd be excited to have some guests in here. We're working on some other stuff. I'm going to try to get we'll see if we can get Scott Moore in here.
Nice.
Because Scott is a legend.
Scott is a legend.
He's a legend.
Scott's the one that
when me and you were thinking
Sort
about
of pioneered
fishing,
whitebait, man, and that
Yeah,
whole
you
fishing.
ain't
when
get
we
it.
were thinking about fishing, or Travis is even younger than us. Travis might have been in his diapers then.
I
Scott
still
was,
am.
Scott
I
was-
still wear diapers every now and again.
Scott was
he was getting it done.
he was getting it done.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid being at the Tampa Tribune
Yep.
show, and him and Frank Sargent, I was probably in my teens, were selling a book. I actually bought the book. I might still have the book.
Snook fishing.
Yep, I thought it was the coolest deal. But and now I do it for a living. So guys like him paved the way for us. So we're going to try to get him in here. And I mean, honestly, I might not talk much that show. I learned
Shoot,
the
let him-
old timers.
you know,
We
here's
just
what-
sit back and
Here's what
perk the
Scott's
ears
done.
up.
Scott is
Wisdom.
yes, what Scott's done is he has fine-tuned like the salooner table with the tides on his snook fishing, and that's where he excels. He is like the godfather of snook fishing.
Yeah.
And for our age anyway.
Speaking of snook, I got my biggest in the tournament this past
Yes,
week.
he did.
But Scott probably seen that picture and chuckled.
Well, I mean, Scott's not caught as big a fish as say Parmelo. I mean,
But they
Parmelo-
fish
totally different. That's right.
Totally different.
That's right. But I mean, I don't know that Scott's caught. I mean, I know he's caught a lot of big snook, but I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that's caught a lot of big snook, and both you guys are good at catching big fish. And when you've had that many years under your belt, then you can maybe compare notes. But he catches a lot of fish, just catches a lot of fish because of the way
He's so knowledgeable.
he studies the salooners.
The
and
thing
and
about
the
Scott
tides.
too is he's very well spoken. Like he's very good at instruction, and if you just sit back and listen to him, the guy is just. I mean, he puts it all together. He really does. It's guys like him that I look up to say.
Absolutely.
When my career in the fishing industry is done, I would like people to look back and maybe even be in the same
Right.
vicinity of somebody comparing me to somebody like that.
Absolutely.
I think some of the modern day people, TJ Stewart is a man. The guy can just fish.
He's got the it.
Yeah,
Whatever
he
it
does.
is, he has the it.
He does. He's got a knack for it. So there's a lot of guys, but still looking back, no matter how good you are now,
Right.
them the guys before you, and they did it. So,
Well, let's take a break here real quick. We're at our 40-minute mark. We got one more segment. We're gonna have a come on man, and we're gonna kind of do some recapping on some things. And if you got any questions, man, it's not too late. Give us a question on our comment section, and we'll give you the best answer we can. But anyway, this is Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. We'll be right back. back. Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. I'm Captain Rick with Captain Jason and Captain Travis. We are live. Hey, before we get into it, we're gonna do the what our forecast is for the upcoming week. Travis has got a great come on, man, and I was there to witness it. It was absolutely
it's a combo.
It was hilarious at the time, and I think everybody thinks it's funny.
Come on, man.
But yeah, give yourself a plug, boys. How do you get a hold of you guys if they want to fish?
If you guys want to book with me, I fish South Shore, pretty much anywhere in Tampa Bay, mainly the South Shore. I do St. Pete. Business name is Steady Action Fishing Charters, 813-727-9890.
Awesome.
And you can look me up. It's www.fishbyinstinct.com. Name Captain Travis Yaeckel, and my cell phone is 813-830-3474. Give me a call anytime. Shoot me an email. Look us up.
Anytime's fine. You call him 2 or 3
Anytime.
o'clock in the morning.
They do it all the time.
He'll answer. It's fine. Well, I'm Captain Rick. Real Simple Fishing Adventures, 813-601-2900. And I have to let you know that you're proud because I finally.
No, I got my hand up. I got a question.
Oh, well, hang on. I've teamed up with Tiger Hoffman, and we're doing some duck hunting, fishing combos. So if you're interested in doing some duck hunting, get the duck hunting fishing trip all in the same day, package deal. Give me a shout, 813-601-2900, and we'll get you out there blasting and casting. What's your question?
So do you charge extra to wear the outfit on your charters?
I don't. I really don't. I got 2 of these outfits. The other one's red and blue. If it's a need, I'll wear it.
I mean,
I think Jason should wear one. I think you guys should both wear one. I can't wear one. This is where the little guy. This is where the short guy steps out so I can't fit.
And all I see is teeth, man. He's just smiling. So
I had to take a picture and send to my wife. She's like, I said, my wife's talking to me. Couldn't even answer. I was speechless.
Gotta love it, man.
Guys, don't forget too. We mentioned this earlier in the show. We're gonna mention again. We're putting together a giveaway. We're gonna be giving away a 10-foot humpback cast net. And how you're going to be able to win. One of our lucky listeners, followers, subscribers is going to win this. And we're going to have the details next week. But basically, you're going to submit your best fishing photo. Not biggest, best. Coolest looking photo. Yes. And you're going to submit this on our social media. Now, to qualify to win the event, you have to be a subscriber on our YouTube page, or channel, sorry. And you also need to like our Facebook page. So we want you to be involved and follow us, and then just submit a cool picture. And
next week we'll have the dates and all that figured out when we're going to do it, and
we'll,
for sure prize and all that.
Come up with a way.
So.
We'll probably set up a different album on our Facebook page that we can post all those pictures. We'll put all those pictures in a certain album, and then throughout the course of the contest, folks can go and like those pictures, and obviously you're going to share that picture with your friends and family and have them like it. I would probably say that a portion of our influence is going to be by the number of likes on the picture. Right. Obviously, if the fishing community likes it, then it's something we're going to look at.
Absolutely.
But that's not the only thing. So it's not just likes. That's going to have a little bit or probably a significant portion of how we're going to look at the photos. But ultimately, we're going to probably pick 5 or 10 of them, and kind of just break them down and figure out a way to all agree on one.
You know
maybe we'll do a couple. Maybe we'll do first, second,
maybe
third,
we'll
or something.
Pick 3 or 4 and let y'all decide.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? We'll figure it out, and we'll have those details for you next week, though, because we're gonna give it some thought and hash it out and brainstorm it. But I think it'll be something fun.
Yep.
And that was a great idea Jason had, and we're gonna run with that one. But anyway, Jason, somebody here says, how about tell them about all the baby basses we caught and put them in the Polo's apartment pond?
Yes.
You tell that, and then Travis, you tell your come on.
Well,
man.
we basically.
I think it was just told.
Yeah, I think he just threw me under the
story.
bus.
It's like I thought something
There's
exciting.
I grew up with Scott. I didn't realize that was Scott till I'd seen that.
So there was nothing like monumental that happened. Nothing like
that I can remember.
Cause see, I had.
There's always something monumental as a kid. Cause me and him got in a lot of trouble. And
I got the similar deal, but you finish, and then I'm gonna tell one that's same kind of situation, but it went south fast, real fast.
Well,
I forgot all about it till I saw that right there.
Let me go ahead. And so if you look on our comments on our Facebook live feed here, I went ahead and put a quick link to our YouTube. So all you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube, which is right there. And
what's up, James? From Vancouver, Washington, man. We're all the way across the country.
yes, we're
Appreciate
I told
you, brother.
What did I tell you guys for years? I've been saying we're
Worldwide.
taking this
Going
thing
worldwide.
We're going to China.
China.
We're going to China.
All right, let me. I want to hear his story because I was there and it was good, but I was also there for this. Years ago, back when I was in high school, in the early '80s, me and my buddy David Basinger, they had a pond that was dug on their property when they needed dirt for interstate. So we were stocking this pond. So we were going to all the other ponds in Ruskin. We were catching bass, putting them in a cooler with an aeration system, and running them to his pond and dumping them. I mean, we probably put 200 fish in that pond over the summer. Well, we're leaving a pond one night, and we got the john boat in the back of the truck. We got the cooler in the john boat, and about 7 or 8 bass in it, and we're rolling. Turn off 674 on the 24th Street, and that stinking john boat comes out of the back of the truck, and we dump those bass on 674.
Did you get the bass or the boat first?
We got the bass covered up because they were not all legal size. You know.
Oh gosh!
Yeah,
here we go.
No, I mean we weren't eating them.
Here
We
we
were
go.
taking them. We were moving them, but we got the bass put back in the cooler.
That's okay.
Put-
we weren't eating them.
Put the boat back in there, and thank goodness when we turned off, we only had about a 3/4 of a mile to go. We took those bass with no water all the way to the pond, revived them, and
Let 'em
they
rip.
swim away. But yeah. I thought that's where your story was going, Jason. I thought something traumatic.
We had done some stuff like that, but I was Apollo Beach, so ours was more golf course, Apollo Beach golf course. We had some good times there. We thought that we were gonna build dance a pond and just make it our own, man, and it was just one little pond back by the
That's the one I called
the driving range.
I had so many.
back by the driving range, and we used to stock that bad boy, son.
Travis putting them in, Jason
Hey,
yanking them out.
yanking them out.
I appreciate that.
Probably
brother.
charging people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I started my charter business.
Oh my
Right on
gosh.
Travis's lake.
So, but anyway, Rick, to tell the story before I forget, I'm gonna kind of set the scene, and so it was a group trip. Although Rick actually wasn't part of my
I wasn't
group,
a part of it.
but it was a group trip, so there was quite a few boats around, and we were fishing in an area where there was a school of redfish, and we were all kind of set up, kind of expecting these redfish to sort of come in on us. And all the guides, there was 3 or 4 of us there, were sort of, I believe, prepping the same thing. All right, guys, we're going to slowly work this edge until, these fish either show up or don't show up, and we're going to pick some fish off as we go. And we had caught some ladyfish, and we had caught some small snook, and we had even caught a nice flounder and a couple, whiskered snook. And all of a sudden, now Rick is what do you say, Rick? 20 yards maybe?
Yeah,
not even. I mean, if I was to chuck a bait, I could probably touch his boat.
Easy.
I mean, I could. It wouldn't,
Easy.
Nothing crazy. But so anyway, Rick's got floats out on his end, and I've got free line out. And I told the guys, I said, listen, you see them floats over there? I said, just stay away from the floats. Yeah. Well, I got guys on the boat, and they're talking and drinking, and it's all good.
Oh, we was having a festive
It's all
time,
good,
man.
man.
We were joking.
Well, all
back
of a
and
sudden,
forth.
the guy on the bow, dude, he bows up to one son and KVD.
Well, he actually, I did have floats on, but that particular guy I had that you're going to tell us
Right.
about, he did not have a float.
He didn't have a
No,
float
he
on.
did not have a float.
So this guy on the bow, man, I mean, he cranks down on one son, and he bows up, dude, like it's a 10-pounder, he comes down, and he says the words, "This is a thick one. This one's thick, son." Right? I'm going, yeah, man. So he cranks down.
and at the same time, my guy goes, I got something going on
he
here.
goes, I got something going on.
I got one.
Right? So all of a sudden I look over, and I still hadn't put the whole situation together yet. And about that time, this guy yanks on Rick's boat, and my guy yanks on and it still took
They
them
got each
about
other.
10, 15 seconds. And all of a sudden, dude, the line just comes out of the water like this, and they are perfectly hooked together, 2 circle hooks.
Oh my God!
But you couldn't have got them any more.
Come on,
perfect,
man.
Dude. No
Come on,
bait,
man.
dude. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
And if it wouldn't have been so close, I would have let it play on. Because your guy caught it. My guy was still like wrenching on it, dude.
My guy said, I think he goes, I got something going on here. He goes, he goes, no, I think I'm on his line.
Oh,
Travis's guy was into
dude,
it all the way.
my boy was winning the tournament.
Until
he was gonna snatch him off the boat, son. He
He's
was
thick.
he was in
He's
it to win
thick.
it. Hand me the fighting belt. Get the gaff. I mean, it was getting real.
Well, guys, we had, I'm trying to find the question. Somebody asked, what was his name? John Craig, I think? Yeah, John Craig asked, do you guys discuss boats? John, we do.
Absolutely.
I love talking boats and props and performance.
You had to ask
Well,
him.
before
Yeah.
we get into that, let me just say, to if you're out there, if you these comments are just rolling through. Some of them we see and some of them we don't see because they just pass us. Don't think you're being ignored. If you put something up there and we don't see it, put it up there again if it's something that you need an answer to, because we can only see 3 comments at a time.
We got Earl Wise from Pensacola,
screen.
Florida.
Yeah. So
And
anyway, go ahead with what you're saying.
Well, so yeah, we do discuss boats. We are a little partial. I'm sponsored by Pathfinder, Canyon Bay, and Rick's a Ranger boy at the current moment. But so we are partial to some boats. But I love talking boats. Boats just interests me. I think it's neat. I think
Fire off a question. Ask a specific question that we can address.
Travis or Jason's good on props. If you need, I mean, all serious. If you got a prop question, ask Jason.
Oh,
you studied that.
Because he's actually just bought every one of them and
tried every prop they ever.
Actually has an inventory.
Yeah.
Borrow one.
But yeah, boats are cool. I think that, what's cool about boats is nowadays there's so many different hull designs. Mm-hmm. Like I'm running a Pathfinder 26. It's a double step hull. Your boat's just a traditional V. Your boat's an inverted pad boat. Like it's got a pad like a bass boat that kind of goes in. So there's tunnel hulls. You name it. Like there's just so many. There's catamarans now. And then the Freemans now it's a step tunnel.
Yeah.
And there's roundabouts.
And then
we got roundabouts.
Now I don't know what kind of prop to run on them. That's one I haven't tested. But there's just so many variances on boats. So yeah, we love to talk boats. We should do one of our shows on props. Give the basics. I might be able to get Rich from Leading Edge Propellers who just cut the barrel on mine and cupped it and talk about the differences because
Tiger, man, you're killing me.
What's
Go
Tiger
ahead.
doing?
No, Tiger's just killing me.
But a prop is like put it this way: a prop on a boat, and I'm not gonna get into this too much. It's like starting off in first gear or second gear. Like there's a big difference on pitch, and it's not rocket science, but it makes.
Well, Jason's propped out my last 2 motors, and
good,
without a doubt.
It's not that hard. You just have to understand what you're dealing with in motors, and there's so many different variances now. But it's just like boats. But yeah, we love talking boats, motors, props. You can see with the shirt I got on which motor I'm going to recommend. Yep. We got a Suzuki guy here, and Rick just goes with the flow.
I've had my Yami Hammer for.
You have. They've been good to you.
Not that particular one, but I've had them. I've never had no issues with them other than some lower unit issues, but
yeah,
I got past all that.
Yeah, so they're but we love talking boats. We got a fishing report. We had a fish report somewhere. Now it went down. You were supposed to be looking at that, Travis. What are you doing? Well, Matt's asking a question about. I have a Yamaha F26 or F300 with a 26-foot HPS, same boat I got. Do you know anyone that's done any prop research on that with that combo? Yes, Matt.
Jeremy Lee is probably going to be your best.
No, Jeremy Lee hasn't ran a 26. Jeff Page.
You're right.
Jeff Page has got that exact combo minus a tower. I can tell you on the F300, you're running a 1.85 gear case where I'm running a 1.75. What that means in English is you're going to run more pitch than I would because it's more direct. If I had to take a guess, Matt, on that boat, I would take a wild shot. I'm a Mercury guy. Mercury makes great props. They fit every brand of motor.
Yeah.
I would go with a
Mercury on my last 2.
I would go with a 19 or 20 pitch Bravo series. There's a bunch of different versions of the Bravo. I'm not a big Rev 4 guy. The Eco prop is what I'm running on my mat, but the new Inertia Eco is the best thing since sliced bread. It's a 16-inch diameter prop that runs like a 4-blade, but it's a 3. That's what you got on your Suzuki.
That's what I'm running on mine. I'm running a 21 pitch.
Problem with that on the F300 is your zinc, your little zinc plate that comes down on the Yamaha is going to be in the way because of the prop. So
just take it off.
Yeah, you could just take it off, put a flat one like Mercury's got. But I'd look at that Bravo one. It's a fast 4-blade, very fast. A lot of the bass guys run them Bravos because it's one of the few 4-blades that you'll run just as fast. Got a ton of bow lift, which you want with a step haul. So give that a shot. Yamaha's got a decent 3-blade saltwater series. I don't know the Yamaha props that well. Matt, I tell you a good recommendation. Get on the phone, call PowerTech. They've got good customer service. They got a decent prop. look at their OFX series or their PTC series. There'd be some good options for props.
That
Tell
OFX
John
is a
Craig
good,
that when if he's
boats.
looking at that 42-foot yellowfin, if you need us to go test run it with you, we'll roll out there.
Well,
Yeah, 42 yellowfin. I've
we'll-
been on one of them.
We'll roll out there with you and do that.
That sucker was on a yellowfin with about 25 people at the Hooked on Hope. That thing had
That's a bad boat.
quad 350s. It ran 62 with like 25 people on it.
You can run that one through the entrance of Little Harbor Restaurant. not that back door. You can take that one all the
You
way
can
to
take
the
it down.
entrance.
You're going downtown with that one.
Well,
But-
let's talk a little bit of fishing, man, because I know that we're coming up to a good time in fishing,
Yes.
and we got a couple minutes left here.
If these winds
So,
will lay down, it's going to get
let's,
really, really good.
Let's wrap this up because Rafael is right on point, and we got the World Series coming up, guys, which has been an awesome run. Hopefully we can get out of here and let y'all watch that.
Absolutely.
But let's let Captain Rick chime in and tell us what you think over the next say week or so, and what we got to look forward
it's
to.
all going to be about the weather. If these winds will lay down, fishing's because it's supposed to get warmer.
Mhm.
If the winds lay down, those fish are started their transition. They're not where they're going, but they've started that move, and I love it when we get to this time of year because they always say that 90% of the fish is in 10% of the water. Well, it's going to be 95% of the fish is going to be in about 3% of the water here.
Especially with our negative
when
tides.
things get right.
With our
So-
negative tides pushing it down, these fish are going to pond up.
So the bait's still relatively easy, and if the winds lay down, yeah, it's going to be good. I get excited this time of year. This is like
It's my favorite time of the
April
year
to
to
me.
fish.
I
Yeah.
love November, December fishing.
I'll go ahead and make it real fast. Key things to look at: water temperature and cold fronts. Tides are going to matter, but tides probably matter to me least this time of year. It's more water temperature, your high pressures, of course your salooners. And I'm going to get Todd next week to talk. He's big on salooners.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of look at him, but I don't pay attention to him that much. It don't control what I do, but he is real big on salooners. He's real good at reading them. We're going to get some information from him, but look at your weather and your water temperature. That's going to dictate on where you fish.
Good deal.
My tip of the week, I'm just going to go off on a little tangent, but I'm going to talk a little bit about artificial, and I'm going to say now's the time to go ahead and start getting your jigs back out, get your top waters out, get some of those lures out or maybe get that lure out, come down to Tampa Fishing Outfitters and pick out a new one that you haven't had a chance to really dial in and feel comfortable with. And now's the time to throw and start getting ready to start sight fishing. That's one of the things that I really like to do. And when I say sight fishing, a lot of people think, oh, redfish. No. You can sight fish trout, you can sight fish snook, and you can sight fish redfish this time of year. One of my favorite things to actually do is sight fish big gator trout. And I'll kind of end my tip of the week in saying that we're getting to that time of the year where we're going to start getting these lower tides. We're going to start getting this high, heavy north wind. It's going to blow these tides out. We're going to get negative tides. And look for these bigger trout up until the water temperature really plummets to be sitting in these sand holes. Now that we still have some bait up on the flats, in the springtime we always talk about how the snook migration kind of comes out in the river and the river systems in the estuary, and the bait's sort of coming in and they kind of meet on the flats. And I think especially with the trout, this sort of happens in the fall when the trout are moving in and the bait is sort of going out. And so if you hit that just right, you'll find a lot of big trout staged up in the shallow parts of the flat, and then they'll just slide off on those negative tides and sit in the trough. So that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. I haven't seen a lot of big trout around yet, so I'm anxious to get out there and look around for some of those guys.
Awesome.
But,
And Travis is tomorrow night, and just need to make sure we cover this one more time. South Shore Anglers seminar he's doing is not at Little Harbor. It's at Apollo Beach Rec Center, 664 Gulf and Sea Boulevard, Apollo Beach, 33572. And next week we got Todd Fouché coming in. I'm kind of excited about
Gonna
that.
be a good show.
Hadn't seen Todd, and gosh, I probably hadn't seen Todd in a year. Looking forward to seeing Todd and catching up with him, seeing what's going on. He's a great fisherman, and like Jason said, man, he's got the salooners and stuff pretty much wrapped up. So he'll be definitely have some knowledge for us next week. So anyway,
Guys, don't forget the
do
Real
it.
Animals show with Frank Sargent and Captain Mike Anderson is the 17th. through the 20th. I will be doing a seminar at 2 p.m. On the 17th, that Friday. So look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yep.
Kevin, every week 6 to 7, Bob.
Every week. And for those of you going to South Shore Anglers meeting, I'll see you tomorrow night. Guys, it's been another good show. Same place, same time next week. We will see you then. We're out.